Let me jump to this story from the Post-Millennial to give everybody a good bit of optimism. Quote, "My pronouns are USA. Massachusetts middle school tries to make children wear rainbow clothing for pride. Students revolt, wear red, white, and blue." This video is fascinating, where you have parents furious that these kids were saying no to Pride Day. Some kids were chanting that their pronouns were USA. They were wearing red, white, and blue, and pride decorations had been torn down. Parents said the hate starts at home. This is fascinating. So kids at a school revolted against what the school is trying to impose on them. Yeah. And other parents came in and blamed the parents of those kids. I got to tell you, that's fascinating to me. Kids acting out and you're furious and upset. But you know what is? You know what is amazing? Is that we're seeing more and more of this. There was another video where kids are in a classroom and they play a pride video and the kids all boo and groan and say, "Why are you showing this to us?" And the teacher threatens them with a quote unquote Saturday school if they don't stop acting inappropriately. I think the kids are all right. I think we're seeing this is cause for hope.
The kids are all right.
The kids are more than all right. And I've known this for a long time because I'm out on the streets and they come up to me. But I'm going to read you guys a message I got from a grade 10 student today. "Hi, Chris. Thanks for getting back so soon. Oh, here it is. I'm in 10th grade. This has to stop. I'm tired of going to school scared of getting pressed because I said something bad in a language they made up. It's not fair that they're insecure teenagers whose parents didn't give them enough attention. Who knows if that's true? But as kids, why do I have to pay for it?" And he told me that in advance of this protest we had last week, over the PA system to the whole school, they said that if kids didn't get support for pride or for transition, that these kids would be likely to commit suicide or have self-harm. A child said this over the PA system to the whole school. This is the propaganda that these kids are receiving everywhere. And when they hear this 1,000 times a year, they believe it. And so when people like us come along and talk common sense, they've been so indoctrinated by these school systems to believe that kids are coming to harm that they think we're the devil. But they're planning a walkout. The students now are planning a walkout next week against their own school.
Where is this at?
This is in Ottawa, Canada.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But this is happening all across the country. In Nova Scotia, on June 1st, 33% of students didn't go to school. The parents withheld them to protest Pride Month.
Whoa, really?
Big
That's
time.
massive. Yeah.
It's huge.
I mean, Canada is in serious trouble.
Big time.
Yeah.
But we're fixing it. I white people all the time because I have faith in humanity and I know that we're going to get the truth out there. But yes, I think we're probably the worst in the world.
If you, like, children especially have a kind of a, I don't know, just a reputation for being why am I having trouble with the words? You know, like to say no, to revolt against authority. There's this whole like punk counterculture. Yeah,
whatever's popular.
Children are great young people because their brains are still like very open to seeing what's real and what's not. Now there are kids that will get manipulated. But I tell you, if a school for a year force-fed kids meatloaf and all they did was put meatloaf propaganda all over the school, you better believe that a bunch of those kids are going to be like, screw meatloaf. I don't want anything to do with meatloaf. I hate meatloaf. And then you're going to see that with pride. It's not that it's because they hate transgenderism, gay or bi. They don't want to be indoctrinated.
Exactly.
They went too far.
A popular thing.
I've been bamboozled by this 20-something generation who love government authority. Wear masks. You're evil for not wearing a mask. Get jabbed. Do everything the government tells you. That's what all these 20-somethings are doing.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a generational shift with the younger kids. They're tired of this. And it's beautiful.
Well, I wonder if it's because, as we often mention, conservatives are more likely to have kids. And I think one of the reasons the left is so panicked and desperately trying to indoctrinate in schools is because they know they don't have kids. 20 years ago, it was like 4 to 3. For every 4 conservative kids, there were 3 liberal kids. And this means that voting patterns are going to shift very, very, very heavily. Now, people on the right often say, well, they're going to bring in illegal immigrants for that or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but they can't vote. They can change the census in a decade, which will favor certain urban populations that do this. But in the short term, they will not win if this is the case.
Right.
Older people are passing on. Mm-hmm. Younger people are entering voting age. And there's more younger conservatives than left than left kids. And so their only option, as the saying goes, socialists don't have kids, they have yours. Yep. That's their only option.
Yes. And I've had probably 15,000 conversations out on the street. My number one allies, I hate the word ally, the people who support me the most are black men.
Yeah.
It's so rare for a black man to have an issue with my message, which is that we shouldn't be transitioning kids. They all agree with me. The women too. Yep. And Hispanic communities. And they are conservative when it comes to family. They like the nuclear family.
Always.
Well,
But they've all been taught to believe that they have to vote Democrat as though Democrats are representing their interests, and they're not. And we're going to see a shift in this, as we've already seen happen in Florida.
It is a fascinatingly white liberal family thing to not have families. You know, if you look at, we've talked about Shabbat in Jewish families and how powerful that is in protecting your kids, your family, and your community. From Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, you are with your family. You're not working. You're not, they take the Sabbath very seriously. And even for Christians going to church, these form protective barriers for your community from outside influences that seek to destroy you. But if you look at a lot of like immigrant families, if you look at, as you mentioned, black families, they're very much so. They say that the church is heavily involved in politics, although it's not as true as it used to be. It is fascinating that it seems to be more so white liberal families that are opposed to family in general.
Yeah, well, it's I was going to touch on this, and you sort of mentioned this, Tim, but these are the views of a very specific subsection of affluent white people. This is not something that the black community is calling for, the Hispanic community is calling for, and it's not something the vast majority of white people are calling for either. It's just a very, very small minority of very affluent people. And when you look at BLM and the fact that they've tied it up so closely with this gender nonsense, and they've even put a black and brown stripe on the pride flag to try to link these perverse sexual lifestyle choices to being a minority in this country, becomes obvious that they really know that they have to try as hard as they can to get the support of these groups. And so they're going to try to do that just by claiming it's the case and shouting you down if you disagree with them, having a few spokespeople who are black or Hispanic, when in reality, those communities, they don't like this, right? They don't want to be called Latinx. They don't want you trying to trans their kid. They're not taking their kid to drag queen story hour. This is something white suburban mothers with too much time and money think makes them special. That's all.
That's Affluenza? I mean, I thought it was a joke.
No.
What was that guy's name?
Affluenza was no
kid,
regard for consequence.
Some rich kid hit and killed somebody drunk driving, I believe, and they let him out. And they're like,
wow.
His problem is that he's too affluent. He's got affluenza. Yeah, that was an actual thing. Like, it's not an actual medical condition, but they purported like it was. And I'm wondering if this is actually affluenza, when people get too rich and white. I'm white. People get too rich.
They got too white.
Too rich and too
Biden.
like, what would be the word? Not too white, but too like socially stable.
Complacent.
Complacent, because it's like, oh, you don't have to work to get ahead in society. They just start looking inward for problems.
It's that meme of the guy. He tweets he lives in Los Angeles, and he tweets, "Yay, they're rioting, keep it up. Look, like watch the building burn." Then the next day he tweets, "Oh no, they're coming to my neighborhood. Get out of here, you beasts."
Yeah,
this is the party of empathy.
As soon as the problem is out there, you realize all this inner crap is not that important.
Look, James O'Keefe did this. It was fantastic. They went to, I believe it was James who did this. They went to people's houses, and they said that they were people who were in favor of gun control. And then the people in the house were like, "Oh, that's fantastic. Like, do you support gun control?" Like, "I do, absolutely." And they were like, "You don't own guns, right?" And they're like, "No, who does?" Like, "Can we put a sign in front of your house saying proud gunless home, like we oppose guns?" And every person goes, well, no, you can't do that. Like, you're inviting criminals. Like, what do you mean? I thought you were in favor of gun control. That's the perfect example. Yeah. The wealthy, uppity people who are protected by police will complain about police because they don't see the problem. Yeah. Then later on, they go, "Oh, heavens me. Oh, how can this be?" Like that, was it the ice cream shop? It was at Seattle, I think you mentioned. They say, "Defund the police. Woohoo." And then they go out, they start losing money, and now they're suing the city because the police didn't help them.
Yes, I've had police called on me 150 times. Always by people who say, "Let's defund the police."
Yep. Every time.
They're the first to call the police as soon as they see an opinion they don't like.
No, it's true.
Of violence,
Well, there's a certain kind of person this happens to, but I find this is also true of people who are wealthy, and particularly when they're very wealthy to the point where they will never have to worry about their material needs for the rest of their life. There is an increased emphasis on reputation and other people's perception of you, which I think would be considered extremely unusual if it were seen in a poor or working class person. I think once you no longer have to concern yourself with having your basic needs met, how you look to other people becomes much more important. And so what happens is you want to be seen as high status within your community, but everyone else is already very wealthy or have their needs taken care of. And so one way that you can signal your superiority is by saying, I care about X, Y, or Z social cause. And even if you're not necessarily doing anything that actually helps people, if you claim that you are, if you say, you're contributing to some cause like BLM, which doesn't actually do anything besides destroy, but purports to help black people and others who are disenfranchised, then you can get this unearned social capital. And I think that's what matters to them more than money in many instances.
Well, thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.